Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday, and we have tight ends and defenses coming at you in this video. Now, we're going to go over the top 15 in each of these categories so we can make sure you are prepared and knowledgeable and you can dominate your opponents this weekend. If you have any questions, please drop those down below. I would love to help you out. Reach out to me on the Sleeper app as well. I am available there. If you are new or haven't quite got to it yet, please like and subscribe. It helps me out a bunch, enables me to do what I love, so I can keep bringing you the content that you love. We're doing this all in half PPR as a reminder. And with all that out of the way, let's hop to it. This is Week 8's tight end rankings. Starting off at number 1, it's business as usual. Travis Kelce sees himself here against the Giants. Kelce is going to be a big part of this New York domination. I expect at least 100 yards in this one for the first time since week 3, with a good chance of breaking his 2-game scoreless streak as well. Kyle Pitts against Carolina at home comes in at number 2. Pitts' adjustment to the NFL game has come just about as fast as owners could have hoped. He's been a force and is showing why Atlanta spent a top 5 pick on him in April. With Calvin Ridley off to a slow start, Pitts has picked up the slack. Rounding out the top 3, it's TJ Hawkinson against Philadelphia. Hawkinson has 20 targets in his last 2 games after seeing just 22 combined in the 4 previous to that. He's gotten healthier, and as that has happened, the production has followed. Now he gets a Philly team that is allowing the 6th most points per game to tight ends. Mike Gesicki is next up at 4. He goes on the road to face Buffalo. This is a tough matchup for Gesicki, with Buffalo allowing less than 9 points per game to the position. Gesicki, however, must be locked and loaded in lineups regardless, as he has been lights out over his last 5 weeks. He should see plenty of volume as a safety valve for Tua with Buffalo's dominant front 7. At 5, it is Noah Fant at home against Washington's football team. Fant has been a key part of this offense, especially with Jerry Jeudy missing time. Now that Jeudy is back, I don't expect that to change much, although the targets may be a little bit harder to come by. Fire him up in a good matchup. Dalton Schultz, going on the road to face my Vikings, is next at number 6. Schultz has been a top 10 finisher in 4 straight weeks, but Minnesota presents a challenge as a top 10 defense to the position. He has 6 targets or more in all but 1 game this year, so the opportunities are going to be there. Next up at 7, Rob Gronkowski goes on the road to face the Saints. Now, the Gronk monster is back after a 4-game absence and immediately shoots into that mid-tight end 1 territory. He's been a top 2 tight end in 2 out of his 3 games that he's played, averaging almost 7 targets per. We move on to number 8, and it's Dallas Goedert on the road against the Lions. This is a sneaky tough matchup for Goedert, as the Lions are top 4 versus tight ends in the last 4 games. In that time, Goedert has 220 yards, touchdown, and 2 top 10 finishes, and is still a top option for us here. Our 9th ranked player on the week is Robert Tonyan, going to the desert to face the Cardinals. After begging him last week, Tonyan heard our pleas and responded with a tight end 6 finish. He will see a ton of work this week, as the Packers wide receiver room has been decimated with COVID, and he should once again produce tight end 1 numbers. Rounding out our top 10 is Tyler Higbee on the road to face the Texans. This is an awesome matchup for Higbee, who has failed to get inside the top 10 in his last 4 games after doing it twice in his first 3. The Texans allow over 18 points a game to tight ends on the year, so there is upside here. Hunter Henry is up next. He is our 11th ranked player going on the road to face the Chargers. Henry has 4 straight games with a score and has finished tight end 11 or better in all of them, hence his ranking here. A top 2 matchup with the Chargers makes it likely that this streak is going to continue, as he has become a trusted target for Mac Jones. Our last tight end 1 of the week is CJ Uzomah on the road to face the Jets. CJ is definitely a boom or bust option, but the boom potential is a tight end 1, which he has finished in 2 out of the last 4 weeks. With a top 8 matchup for him this week, the dice roll is warranted. We move next to number 13, and that is Zach Ertz against the Packers. Ertz has back-to-back finishes in the top 8 and gets a decent matchup here with Green Bay. With a lot of mouths to feed in Arizona and a potential positive run game script for the Cardinals, I would temper expectations. Our 14th player is Jared Cook at home against the Patriots, and Cook has scored in 2 out of his last 3 games. This, however, is a tough matchup against the Patriots, who allow just 7 points a game to the position. He could struggle, but at least his floor is decent. Rounding out our list at 15, it's Ricky Seals-Jones on the road against a top 4 Denver defense against tight ends. Now, Seals-Jones is the tight end 8 over the last 3 weeks, so the upside is clear. He is worth a gamble if you are devoid of other options. A couple notable omissions before we get to our defenses. The first is Tyler Conklin at home against Dallas, and Conklin hasn't finished in the top 15 ever since week 3. Dallas, however, is at least a decent matchup. We also have Mo Alley-Cox against the Titans, and the worry for Cox is the volume and the matchup against a top 5 defense. With that out of the way, let's get into this week's defenses. At number 1, it is the Rams defense on the road against Houston, and while the return of Tyrod Taylor may help, it is not going to be enough. The Rams defense has been absolutely dominant. Next up at 2, we have the Bills defense against Miami. I think Miami is going to struggle to find the end zone as the Bills destroy the Dolphins this week from start to finish. Rounding out the top 3, it is the Bengals against the Jets. And I don't really care who the quarterback is for the Jets in this game. It's not going to matter with the way Cincy has been playing over the last couple games. At 4, it is the Bucs against the Saints. And the Saints just don't have the weapons here to threaten the weak points on Tampa's defense. Tampa Bay should really just triple team Alvin Kamara. No one else is going to hurt them. Rounding out the top 5 is the 49ers defense on the road against Chicago. And Chicago's offense might actually show some life this week now that Matt Nagy is going to be out. But they probably won't. At 6, it is the Steelers defense against Cleveland, and regardless of who the quarterback is for Cleveland, Pittsburgh's defense has the advantage. At 7, it is the Falcons defense against Carolina, and as long as New York Sam is playing for the Panthers, defenses that are facing them are a solid option. Next up at 8, it's the Cardinals against Green Bay. Green Bay's offense has absolutely been decimated, and the Cards are on fire. At 9, it is the Bears defense against San Francisco. Chicago's defense is doing everything that it can. They should at least be able to keep it close. Rounding out the top 10 is the Browns defense against Pittsburgh, and all the Browns really have to do is play shell and keep things in front of them. Ben Noodle Arm Roethlisberger cannot beat them deep. At number 11, it is the Panthers defense on the road against the Falcons, and while the defense is elite, the offense is so poor it doesn't seem to matter. At 12, it's the Seahawks against the Jaguars, and Seattle's defense has looked a lot better over the last couple weeks. Unfortunately, Geno hasn't. At 13, we have the Eagles on the road against Detroit. Jared Goff is likely going to be the best player on defense for Philly this week. At 14, it is the Broncos against Washington's football team. The Broncos are desperate after 4 straight losses. Maybe they actually play like it this week against Washington. The final defense we have for you guys at 15 is the Chargers against New England, and with a week to simmer on that embarrassment against Baltimore, LA should respond well. A couple notable omissions is going to be the same defenses facing each other, the Titans and the Colts. I expect there to be plenty of points scored in this game, so I don't think either is a good option. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions, please drop those down below. If you're new or haven't done it yet, please like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate your support. This is Relentless Press. I am your host, Abraham Opatz, and we'll see you next time.